Welcome to Madoka Magicast. It's a podcast about the dark magical girl anime Puella Magi Madoka Magica. I am your host Amanda, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Yasha and Vanna, who own the biggest revolutionary girl Utena fan site, Empty Movement. And there they are. They joined me watching the show for the first time, and we had a blast. And now we are answering your listener questions. And this is the podcast where we talk about what we love and don't love about Madoka, and also make weird, horny jokes.
Well, I mean, yeah. That is my brand.
How are you guys doing this week?
Don't ask me that question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, how about I share my happy news?
Yes, please. How's baby doing?
Baby's doing good. That's all of the news I was going to share.
I heard you're shifting into baby voice. That's
yeah.
I think I know where it's going.
There, I'm sitting on my bed right now, and she has this, we call it her cave. It's like this little cloth igloo that she can go into and sleep in. And Igloo's on the bed next to me, and she's just sitting in it watching me talk.
Oh,
hi,
that's
baby.
Adorable.
Hi. I tell her she has anime eyes all the time.
Well, she really does.
Because they're so big and they sparkle. They're so cute. No, you're licking my hand. Will you speak for me? Speak. Let's see if she'll do it. I think she only does it when she thinks I have a treat. She's too sleepy, maybe. That's funny because she will also bark at other completely ridiculous things.
But not on cue just yet.
No, like I was trying to set up some of our retro consoles in here earlier today, so I had a bunch of cords. I had like a bunch of cords laying all around the floor, and I had the TV on the ground, and I had our PlayStation 2 out, and she just came in and just started barking at the PlayStation 2. Just started barking at it, you know.
It got what was coming to it.
It was very suspicious, so she needed to let me know that there was something suspicious right next to me.
That PS2 was asking for it.
Mm-hmm. It was.
Absolutely.
Well, now she's licking me again.
Actually, I have a little anecdote from
Sure.
your son here.
Son. My son. Hi, Sam.
Sam. Yeah.
Oh, hi, Sam. That was so cute.
Yeah, he's acting cute because we were going to bed earlier on, sleep during the day, right? So, this morning, we're going to bed, and I crawl into bed, and all of a sudden I hear a clang outside. I'm like, what the hell was that? It sounded like something falling on our glass tabletop. And I'm like, Sam! Because, of course, now he thinks he's in trouble. Yes, you're a boy. So, but there's me in bed yelling at Sam because I hear a clang and I know it's him. And about 2 seconds passes by, and then all of a sudden he starts running around the house yelling his head off. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? So, and it sounds like when he's scared because he's nauseated, so he runs around to try and run away from being nauseated. I'm like, oh god, he's trying everywhere. He's trying.
That's so cute.
I get out into the living room, and there's no cat puke or anything, and Sam is looking really upset, and then I realize that he's grabbed Vanna's lip gloss, dragged it over, dropped it on the table, and then carted it over to his water dish, and apparently the running around was running around and yelling in triumph or something because he dropped her lip gloss right in his water dish. He's very proud of himself.
I mean, he defeated it, so...
he did. He saved us all.
He was doing a victory lap, come on.
Yes. God. And he has since dropped that same lip gloss, taken it off the table, not even the same table, I put it on a different table. He has taken it and dropped it in his water dish a further 2 more times since. I don't know what he's decided is wrong with that particular lip balm.
Maybe he's trying to flavor his water.
He tried to flavor it with a makeup sponge that had old concealer in it once. Yeah.
Maybe that's what he likes,
Sam.
I don't know.
Eyeliner. It's eyeliner that guys should wear, Sam.
Yeah.
I mean, you could wear all the other makeup too, but it's really the eyeliner that does all the heavy lifting. Yeah, but now he's gonna ruin all our eyeliner.
Which Which male character in Utena is most likely to wear eyeliner on a daily basis?
Toga.
You
Gotta
think
be
so?
Toga. And Akio.
Toga. Well, Akio maybe. I don't know.
I would say Akio, but I don't know.
I don't know why. Well, I mean, assuming that he has the same kind of control over his body that Effie has, I don't know why he would need eyeliner. He could just, magic his eyes to look however he wanted.
That's fair.
That's true.
Toga would definitely
Apparently he magics
eyeliner.
his eyes so that it looks like his makeup's all smudged up after sex.
Okay.
Reminding me uncomfortably of that scene in Silence of the Lambs now.
You know, I have never seen Silence of the Lambs.
It's a good movie.
It puts the eyeliner on its eyes. Or it gets the hose again.
Yeah.
I know about that part just from osmosis.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the salient point. It's an excellent movie, but it is very dated.
Very dated.
Or there are some takes that were takes at that time period in history.
Well,
we should let's save that for the Silence of the Lambs mini episode. So,
wasn't there something in movie 1 that we compared to Silence of the Lambs?
Yeah, is that why that's on our mind?
Probably.
Oh yeah,
I'm
we
sure
should say
we'll
that
remember.
you guys have seen movie 1 at this point, but not yet movie 2.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to generally save our discussion of movie 1 for later, but do you guys want to give us a 10-second rundown of what you thought?
Ass.
Yeah. It's hate with the fire of 1,000 suns.
It's fascinating because it's exactly like if you wanted to show me in like really good and stark relief what it is I liked about Madoka, you could show me the first movie and I'd be like, oh,
that's crap.
Everything that's not here.
Oh man. Okay, we'll have to talk about that more later, but I was surprised that you guys did not enjoy it as much as you did, and I am very interested in talking to you about it. Isn't this funny that I was the one who was like, yeah, they're okay about the first few movies and I hate Rebellion, and you guys hate the first few movies, and I'm sure you're probably gonna like Rebellion.
That's how this goes.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Anyway, today we are answering not really answering, because they're not all really questions, but today we're addressing some YouTube comments that we have received over the course of the show. So if you listen to this on iTunes or on SoundCloud, then you're not watching the YouTube videos, but the episodes also go up on YouTube, sometimes with some pictures if we're talking about something visual so that person watching can see it. And, sometimes we get some comments on those. Sometimes they're questions, sometimes they're just really interesting observations and stuff like that. So we thought it would be fun to address some of those in the second part of our Q&A podcast. Mm-hmm. So here's one that has come up several times. Beans on YouTube asks right in the pre-show where he or she can find the old streams of us watching the episodes for the first time. I don't know that those exist.
They do not, because copyrighted material.
Yeah.
It's already kind of shaky
if you're thinking that it would be like the three of us in front of a camera, like
No.
live reacting, that's not what they were. That's not what they were. Yeah. So don't worry, you're really not missing out on that much. I mean, the chats were fun, but
yeah, but it's not necessary. Like, to be honest, when we stream this stuff, I can only kind of half watch it because I'm also half watching the chat. So we end up happening.
We always end up watching it again after. So
exactly that. Plus, it's like, I don't know. It's more just a fun thing to do with people than it is.
It is fun.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We're not sitting there and having great observations
No,
on it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's mostly just people making dumb jokes and yeah.
Exactly.
It's mostly people screaming about, words and nothing wrong.
Yeah. If you want some solid analysis, the streams are not. You're not missing out anything if you miss the streams.
No, that is not where we put our hard-hitting analysis.
So 2 weeks ago, I had a couple friends over. I had my good friend Pete, who I watched Madoka with earlier this year, who had never seen Rebellion. he is a fellow attorney, and it was very fun to watch the series with him because he likes to talk during everything that he watches. He's one of those annoying assholes who talks during movies.
Nice.
Yeah, you always have to tell him, Shh, Pete, shut up. But it was interesting to hear him, and it was actually for once interesting to hear him talk through something because I got to hear all of his theories as we watched the show. So yeah, so I watched it with him, and then I watched, and then also joined us was my friend Kim Berkeley, who is the editor on my visual novel project. A really talented writer. She's super cool.
Awesome.
I loaned her my Blu-rays for Madoka because I was like, listen, if you want to get me and the stuff that I write, first of all, watch Sailor Moon. Second of all, watch Madoka. You kind of want to understand where I'm coming from when you edit my writing.
Between the two.
Yeah. So, her and her boyfriend came over. So it was me, my husband, Pete, and Kim and her boyfriend. So it was the five of us. And we all sat down and watched Rebellion. None of them had seen it. I mixed a prototype version of one of our drinks. Nice. This is not the final version, but this is what I had on this particular day. It was rosé wine, mint vodka, which is apparently a thing that you make, even though it was very hard to find, and blackberry cordial. So it was those three things together, and I had maybe two of them. Maybe, approximately, and I flat out went to sleep halfway through the movie. I was gone. I did not wake up again until like 3 a.m. after everyone had left. So that's not the final version of that drink, because it knocked me on my ass. Apparently my body doesn't know what to do with cordial. That's what I'm thinking happened. Yeah. I didn't even know what it was before this, so probably shouldn't have had too much of it. Anyway, interestingly enough, none of them liked it.
Well.
Yeah, so either I'm right, or because of the kind of person I am and the kinds of friends I would naturally have, my friends also don't like it.
People that are naturally.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I thought I was like, I have good friends after all. None of them liked it.
Oh boy, this really set us up for failure. I've got to step back into the Uchina position on this and just go. All interpretations are valid.
I know. I'm joking. Yeah. Yes. Let me reiterate. If you like Rebellion, you're fine. I still love you, especially for listening to the podcast. Yeah, it's totally fine.
Oh, this is gonna be such a disaster.
Oh,
I don't know.
It should be exciting.
I'm having horrible visions of us being complete hipsters and having a totally moderate opinion on Rebellion now.
There's good points on both sides.
I would be. I mean, there is good points on both sides. Even I will admit that as somebody who thinks it's fucking awful. Yeah, there is. But anyway, let's save as we say. Let's save that for later. Yeah.
So there are no streams. We don't keep them up. We're already kind of skirting that line. So.
And you're also not missing anything.
Yeah.
Even if we...
Well, because it doesn't save the text in the long run anyway.
No, it doesn't.
Actually.
So it would just be a rebroadcast of the shows with nothing else added, which wouldn't really be useful to anyone.
Yeah. Just go buy it or whatever.
Okay.
All right.
So
then we had an interesting comment from YouTube user Clusters of Crocus, who had this to comment on episode 8, which is the episode where Sayaka, I think she either finds out about the soul gem thing or she turns into a witch. One of those two things happens. Clusters says, the side media adds another layer of messed up to the whole body thing by the PSP game mentioning that if a soul gem is separated from the body for too long, the body starts decomposing, which supports Sayaka's belief that she's a zombie, and ends up being another thing Kyubey thought was okay to leave out even when they asked him for an explanation in episode 6. Well, that's dark.
I just sort of presumed it works that way.
Yeah.
It made sense.
Mean, Kyoko was like, quote unquote, keeping the body fresh.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It makes me wonder, like, what would happen if you separated a soul gem and then the body just decomposed and then you
brought it back.
And then you just have the soul gem, a person trapped inside with no body.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Is that like locked-in syndrome or something?
I would imagine that you would eventually attempt to recreate a body of some sort.
Yeah,
I guess
that
you could
would
with
be
magic.
Like a reverse switch.
If the body is really that insignificant, you could probably theoretically just use whatever body, and that's how you get Madoka Magica furry. You just,
oh god.
Well, now we just rationalized furry Madoka, so...
You just find a squirrel or something, and be like, okay.
This is me now.
Okay.
Well, I would imagine that there's probably some kind of quote-unquote metaphysical signature that the body has to have, but if you create one, then...
Made out of other magical girls that have died.
Oh god.
Getting awfully grim.
This Frankenstein magical girls. I'm sure that's a thing. I'm sure that's a thing that exists.
You mean a fetish?
No, I was going to say a dumb anime that exists, but
well, I'm pretty sure that fetish exists too.
Magical girl Frankenstein.
Yeah, it's made out of all of the parts of other magical girls.
Yeah, but
no, I mean a version of the Frankenstein story, but it's a magical girl show.
That would be pretty amazing.
Yeah,
that would be dope.
At that point, you literally are just gonna have a story about a basement dweller that's trying to make his anime wife.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Wow.
Well, doesn't the monster ask Dr. Frankenstein to make him a bride? And that's where the Bride of Frankenstein comes from?
Yeah, he makes himself this little magical girl, and she's like, hey, are there any Bishonen in here?
Look, Frankenstein's monster was supposed to be absolutely gorgeous or whatever. It even says so. Read the damn book.
Yeah, that's so fun.
I have never read the book. I really should.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It depends on if you like that era of literature or not.
Yeah, it's very...
very Victorian.
Very.
Yeah. Extremely
Victorian.
Extremely Victorian. And plus, like, the whole... I mean, Mary Shelley writing it when she was 19, really...
Yeah.
And having a rough time with fertility issues and such kind of bled into the text more than you would expect it.
Well, that just makes it more interesting, if I'm honest.
I think so.
But, yeah.
I think so, but it's also not something that's like, for one, the writing style is really dense. For another, that subject can be hard for some people to connect to, or they can connect too easily to it, or so those are the caveats I'd put on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So, but I enjoyed it right up until I had to study it. So
that's how all of these work, though.
Yeah,
I don't think we ever read that one in high school.
Oh, they never attempted it with us. It would have been
actually we did do it in high school, and that didn't wreck it for me. And then I had to redo it when I was in college.
Is that when it got wrecked?
Yep. Then it got wrecked real good.
Oh no,
sad. I don't think we ever got to any highfalutin literature like that in my school.
It's pretty good. Like, I enjoy it. But yeah,
it would not make a magical girl show.
Yeah, back to magical.
And that would make a great magical girl show, in my opinion. But
what about like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde magical girl show?
Except, the magical girls were all evil inside.
Yeah, I guess that's not really that unexplored at this point.
Yeah, I think that's just Madoka.
Yeah, that might just be cute. It's like, here, you're gonna save the world. She's like, I'm gonna get snacks.
I'm gonna get snacks and do what I want.
Yep. I mean, life goals, really.
Yeah. Alright, so we got several comments from YouTube user NapHackDT. So thanks, NapHack, for always leaving so many comments. I didn't include every single one in our discussion here today, but I did include some of them. He had this to say on episode 11. There is another reason for why Homura can't beat Walpurgisnacht. Walpurgisnacht is the stage-building witch. This means that she will set up the stage to cause drama. No matter how much Homura tries to change destiny, it will always end up with Madoka having to take a stand against Walpurgisnacht. It will always end up with that scene, no matter how much the previous events are altered, because Walpurgisnacht is the stage-building witch, the manifestation of inevitable fate, and she will make damn sure that the play ends in tragedy. So I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I mean, a stage-building witch I think was like her, you know how some of them were like, I don't know, like the Shadow Witch, or they all had like titles like that. Yeah.
Things that they were just inclined to do.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, like, where that makes me curious about where that name was. The
stage building thing?
Where
it's usually in, like, the Blu-ray, and they put that kind of information.
Or it might just be on the wiki.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
We still haven't gone on.
Yeah, because we're avoiding spoilers.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Still avoiding spoilers.
Yeah.
It's
that's her subtitle. I'm looking at the wiki right now. Yeah. That's
kind of sad because it implies there's absolutely no, like, I don't know, like the show has that whole like, oh, we're repeating a sequence that's always going to end the same way. Like, you already have that established. It's kind of sad that the witch is also like it just reiterates how little agency anybody had in it. Like, it's just it has to end the same way every single time. It's like,
yeah. It's interesting you say that. This is with I don't know if we went over this in the Walpurgis Night episodes, but I'm looking at it here and it says, the stage building witch. It says her nature is helplessness, which is basically exactly what you were just saying.
Yeah.
And then it says, she symbolizes the fool who continuously spins in circles. The witch's mysteries have been handed down through the course of history. Her appellation is Walpurgisnacht. She will continue to rotate aimlessly throughout the world until she completely changes the whole of this age into a drama. When the doll's unusual upside-down position reaches the top part of the witch, she completely roils the civilization on the ground in a flash through her gale-like flight. Cool.
Nice Utena reference.
And then all those little silhouettes of magical girls who are her minions, it says their duty is to be clowns.
For the stage set.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
I don't know that Cube sees his little minions as clowns, but same idea, I suppose.
Also, Walpurgisnacht and Kriemhild Gretchen's silhouettes are supposed to come together like an hourglass.
Cool!
Yeah, like, you know how Gretchen, like, was a big mountain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Interesting.
Yes.
I like that a lot.
See, I would love to dive into the wiki and just read all of this stuff.
I know, we're having to have it filtered through.
Yeah.
I like, I don't know. I don't know. It feels very like, I mean, the witches all do the same thing as like in any other, like they just kind of reiterate the point of what's going on elsewhere in the episode. So
it's
I mean,
very
I guess
Hannibal-esque with the serial killers.
Huh?
Like the show Hannibal.
Yeah.
It's like the serial killers.
The serial killer of the week is the witch of the week kind of thing.
Just basically like with Hannibal, it was more like a psychology-based drama involving criminals, but the criminal would like reflect the
what's going
interpersonal drama of the week in the same way that these witches kind of seem to reflect the interpersonal drama.
Yeah, because like at that point you're basically just reinterpreting the conditions of the show, except that she's lulzing and Cube doesn't lulz because Cube has no emotions. We're told multiple times in variously unbelievable circumstances.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I think I like Walpurgisnacht more before you just put it that way.
Oh no, really?
Yeah. Because like from what I understood before, she was just kind of this mashing together of all the previous witches or whatever.
She is still that.
Yeah. She's still that.
Yeah.
But for that to just mean like that they are all setting a stage for Madoka, like it's very.
I don't know if it's Madoka specifically.
Yeah,
I think
that it ended up Madoka. Like it ended up being her just because that's how it turned out. But it has a very like.
Yeah. No, she's. And I mean, that's probably why she's made up of clockwork gears and shit like that.
Yes, that's why I made the joke.
Oh.
Sorry, was that a joke? I didn't realize. Anyway, all I'm thinking throughout this entire thing is that Walpurgisnacht was my marry and fuck, marry, kill for can't remember. I think it was Cube, Akio, and Walpurgisnacht. I mean,
wait.
Moving on.
Yeah, that's.
Alright, so...
Not the stage we wanted.
Nemezja has this comment on episode 12.
Mm-hmm.
they say the still living in caves thing. I don't think it's true, but I think Kyubey thinks it's true.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't think much of humans. He may babble about partnership, but it's all about maximizing profits for him. It would fit that he thinks that humanity most likely wouldn't progress on its own without his interference, but overall it's hard to tell, because we can't really know how it would be if incubators never went to Earth without being shown. Even if it was safe to yeet Kyubey into space forever, I don't think Madoka would still do it. Yeah.
No, that's not her style.
She's too soft. I would definitely
she's too
eat him
that's
in
like
space.
just eating him off into space. Like, it's already established he has ways of coming back. Like, she's seen him get like riddled with bullet holes and then just pop
Dead
up again.
is different.
Yeah.
Dead
Yeah,
is
Kyubey's clearly like some kind of eldritch monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it does not seem like it would be effective to throw him out into outer space.
No,
like, it's just,
always...
he'll just come back.
Yeah, he really exists on, like, the fourth dimension, and the little guys are just the part of himself he's sticking into the third dimensional plane that he's letting us see, or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
I'm picturing Interstellar, except it was Kyubey all along.
No, I have a feeling that they've been kind of sugarcoating and changing around Kyubey in the movie so far, because I have a feeling that this is gonna, like, basically be the plot of Rebellion.
Well, I'm not gonna say anything on that quite yet.
I don't
want to, like, say more because I don't want to accidentally write.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, this is this, and then it's that, because I have a feeling it is. But
I will say I would like to think that that's not actually true.
Okay.
I would like to think that if we didn't have the incubators, that, women would still be able to contribute to society without sacrificing themselves to a creepy alien to use magic. That would be nice.
I agree, like, the whole thing, like, you would still be living in caves. Humans living in caves was already a significant, developmental milestone separating us from animals that we were creating specific environments where we were starting to draw and things like that.
Yeah.
So we were already, like, sure it would have taken longer, maybe, if Kyubey hadn't shown up, but...
Well, I mean...
There was still some defining characteristic that made humans something that he could farm, and, like, cats are not.
Well,
yeah.
That would probably be the fact that humans kind of work together in social groups.
Which implies that they would at least get out of the caves eventually. If they're in the caves, drawing on walls and stuff, you're already at a developmental point that would make further development more or less inevitable.
Pretty much a necessity.
Yeah. So I don't think Kyubey is the reason humans got out of caves. Maybe they did so on a faster time frame.
I mean, Kyubey's not necessarily a reliable narrator when it comes to that. Yeah.
No, he is not.
Yeah.
Even if you take him as if everything he says is completely truthful, it still doesn't tell us anything about what humans would have done without his interference anyway, so...
Yeah.
It's...
What if they would have been more... what if, had Kyubey never shown up, women would have kept a greater portion of the power in day-to-day life? Because when he showed up, he gave women a means to have power outside the system and in secret.
And then also always have it be their downfall.
Yes.
Yep.
Like, what if Kyubey is the reason that the patriarchy persisted?
No! Fuck you, Kyubey!
because he forced women into a position where their power and their agency got, utilized in secret and in dark corners, and he inclined women to that particular set of problem-solving skills. What if, had Kyubey never shown up, men and women could have been equals, and it's Kyubey's fault. I'm blaming it all. It's all Kyubey's fault.
It's all Kyubey's fault. Kyubey is a scumbag.
This is
Hashtag
shade of the patriarchy.
This is why he was the kill in my fuck, marry, kill.
See that? Wait, you would marry Akio?
No, I said I'd marry Walt Price.
Okay.
Keep up, please.
I don't know. That's not better, but
look. Don't talk about my wife that way, wife.
I feel like either way I lose.
So
Okay.
Napak had this additional comment in the second part of episode 12. He says, I will have to vehemently disagree with you on the ending. Madoka is a horrible god, and I came to this conclusion before I watched Rebellion, so there are no spoilers ahead. Let's take an emotionally detached look at what's going on. Madoka chose to rewrite the entire universe, but she left Homura with all of her memories, or did she? Obviously, she didn't leave her with all her memories, quote-unquote, because that wouldn't work in practice. So basically, she takes an innocent, sweet middle school girl, and at some point in her life, forcibly implants 8 years' worth of pain and despair from an alternate timeline into her mind, just so her very best friend can live on. The Homura from that timeline did not consent to this, and the new old Homura won't gain anything from it, since those memories are essentially worthless, as they relate to someone that never existed in the first place. Pretty much from the moment I saw it, I was convinced that this exact moment where Madoka decided to let Homura keep her memories was where she failed as a god. If she wants to start the universe over as a clean slate with slightly altered rules, then fine. But then she decides to keep a small thing from the old universe and mess up the life of her best friend for no good reason. Having 8 years worth of pain and despair implanted into your mind is tortured, straight and simple, even more so if there is no real point to those memories. Nobody has the answers for her. There is not a single soul in the entire universe that can confirm her memories. All she has to orient herself in the world is limited to the confines of her own mind. So...
But she didn't rewrite the...
Well, I mean, she did.
She kind of does.
She rewrote a part of it, but if she had... She still has to have things like the build-up of despair in magical girls that does turn them into witches.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that still exists. If she'd rewritten the universe from the ground up and recreated everything, she probably would have taken that away.
There's a trope in time travel stories.
I think that trope is being misapplied here,
but that's partly why it's there, I think. There's a trope in time travel stories where you're dealing with alternate timelines and things like that, and I can't remember where this first showed up, but it's in a lot of
probably
like Star Trek and nonsense like that.
Yeah.
But the trope is that for a timeline to be the main timeline, to preserve a timeline or whatever, all of the conditions that lead to the creation of that timeline have to exist in the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Meaning that a Homura that would make the decision to enable Madoka to become a god has to still exist in the timeline where Madoka is a god. Meaning she would have had to have those memories because she would have had to stay the kind of person that would have put Madoka there.
Oh my god, time travel just makes my brain go in circles.
I don't know that there's really a rationale for that. Like, it's a construct of the genre, I think.
I think that's a convention of the genre.
But it is a convention of the genre that would explain why Homura ended up having all those memories again.
There's an in-universe answer that doesn't take issue with the basic presumptions Napak's getting into. I do take issue with the fact that I don't think Madoka rewrote the world or the universe. I just straight up don't. Like, she changes what happens within it, but it's not like she has... It's not even like she's actually a god, as far as I'm concerned. Like, yeah, okay, she has a certain amount of power, but...
Yeah.
She rewrites what happens with the magical girls, but...
She rewrites what happens to the extent that you would tear down a Lego castle and then replace all of the bricks in the foundation with different colored bricks and then build the same castle on top of it.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of made a new castle, but you changed something so that it's not the same castle anymore.
But the essential bricks are all still the same.
Yeah. Like, so I feel like she did and she didn't. Like, she clearly didn't change literally everything.
Yeah.
But adding the law of cycles to the universe fundamentally changed, like, what happened.
Yeah.
And she
over the
changed
course
how
of the Earth's timeline.
Of that work.
The structures in play still have to remain in play. She's just changing the outcome of what happens with them. So, like, to me, it's not a matter of Homura. Besides, like, that's the other thing. If Homura ended at some point and a new one was created, then there would be no implied continuation of consciousness, which we do have. So
here is how I would respond to this comment. So I don't know that it was necessarily so Napak is essentially saying that it was cruel for Madoka to send Homura into the new universe with all of her memories of the old universe. That's basically what he's saying. But if you go back to that scene where they're in like the sparkly heaven, that scene where they're naked, Homura is the one that's upset that she's going to forget Madoka.
Yeah.
And then that's when Madoka takes her hair ribbons off and gives them to her and says, you know, you never know. You have to keep hoping, and maybe if you hope hard enough, you will remember me, and you're not going to forget me after all. And then she disappears. And then what do you know? What happens? But Homura manages to remember her. So I don't know if it's necessarily true that Madoka is why she remembered Madoka,
or that it was Madoka's fault, because it sounds like that's a choice Homura wanted to make.
Yeah, I don't know if it could have been her. Maybe Madoka gave that to her as a parting gift. It's really hard to say exactly. Right. Like, yeah.
I do get it, because I kind of agree, like, if that's how it works. I just presumed that it was the timeline thing, and she had to be like,
I mean, we all three of us have a different reason for disagreeing with this, but I think also a valid one. Like, I just straight up don't think the universe was recreated. She changed what the mechanisms were pointing towards, but I don't think it was a recreation of any sort.
And my guess is that Rebellion is going to be like, surprise, she was rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm expecting.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Yeah. Because, like, she rewrites the laws of the universe and all of this sort of stuff, but at the end of the day, that the whole, like, law of cycles that the show is, like, presumed to function on, that's playing with that's a very lawyer approach to it.
Oh,
she's
You wound me.
No, but I mean it in a good way. But she took the letter of the law and made something work. And I feel like in most pop culture kind of media, eventually that gets turned on you. The letter of the law solution in storytelling tends to be either a mistake or it's the villain. And Madoka is clearly not the villain.
At fairy tales. In which
in fairy tales, a lot of the time they're totally fine with that. Yeah. Funny that's the thing that religions tend.
Ooh, some spicy takes coming here.
But yeah, like I feel like Madoka's decision was very much the letter of the law kind of thing,
right?
And we're gonna have to find out what the result of that is in Rebellion. Right. And I have a feeling I don't know that I would say backfire, but it's not going to be as. She missed something. It seems very easy to assume.
We'll find out. We'll find out. We're gonna find out. Anyway, on to our next comment. Daniel Patrick had this to say on episode 12. He says, I think the ending would have stayed the same regardless of whether they planned on a sequel or not. It would have been best to leave it ambiguous, as it makes more sense thematically and story-wise to have it be a balance of hope and despair. Leaning heavily on one thing would have taken away from the message that they're trying to convey. And that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of ambiguous endings anyway, though. I don't mind being told that I'm not going to know. I kind of like it better. A lot.
Yeah, and if you can actually pull off an ambiguous ending, chances are you've written something that is thoughtful and like open to interpretation, which tends to be the kind of stuff I really enjoy. So
that's something definitely like Madoka does it, Uchida does it, Sopranos does it, and it's definitely a pattern in things that I end up liking. Is if the storytelling and the quality of the storytelling and the quality of the characterization does not entirely rely on finding out what happens, you've written a good story, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to engage with it. If the whole, like, driving force of things, Game of Thrones, is to find out what happens in the end, then your entire story relies on how good or not good the ending is, which...
we've seen how well that worked with Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I'm planning on actually specifically bringing up Game of Thrones when we talk about Rebellion as an analogy to help explain something. Anyway, let's leave that for later.
But I agree. I think the ambiguous ending was part of what I liked about it.
Yeah.
It is bittersweet. In what way, everyone seems to disagree on, but...
Yeah. John V has to say he left this on our Magireco pre-show with Erin. So I'm guessing this is one of Erin's viewers from her YouTube channel. But he says, I hate Madoka Magica because this anime is a disgrace to the magical girl genre. To me, this anime did not help the magical girl genre. It helped kill it. Deconstruction is bad for the industry, people.
What?
So there's a take that we don't normally hear on
yeah,
this show, but there are people who feel that way. Like there are people who just think Madoka is like
crappy and dirt. Yeah,
yeah, it's like
I'm
a
not
crappy,
friends with
edgy
those people.
version of Magical Girls.
I'm really not friends with those people.
If your genre suffers from attempts to deconstruct it, then your genre sucked.
Look, just like with religion, if your beliefs or your entertainment can't handle being questioned or challenged, you got some weak sauce going on there. You need to step up your game. So that's all I gotta say about that.
And I think there's kind of like an equal opposite reaction to this sort of thing when you start deconstructing genres. And from what I understand, this has happened with Magical Girl, but I really can't be sure because it's not, my background or whatever. But like once you start having these edgy deconstructive versions of things, it's always cyclical, and that eventually either we'll get tired of that, or a 9/11 will happen, or something that will suddenly make us not actually like the deconstructing so much anymore and go back to the original. Mm-hmm. With it informed by the awareness of what got deconstructed. And you end up like with a return to the kind of sincere kind of content.
Which is why Lord of the Rings was so refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's why we got, like, grimdark McGrimdark Batmans, and then suddenly got, like, not grimdark Batmans, because we're like, okay, you deconstructed too hard.
That's enough. We don't need Tom Hardy in a mask doing a stupid voice.
Exactly. Let's step back and have a little fun again.
Actually, no, we do need Tom Hardy in a mask doing a stupid voice, but only we need it in the Fury Road way.
Yeah, there we go.
Batman way.
Yeah.
But like deconstruction in that sense, I think is good for a genre because it's always going to end up back where it started anyway if it's a strong enough genre. And I think Magical Girl is probably going to do the same thing if it hasn't already, where you've had things that are now way more sincere than anything recently, because it's like, okay, we did a deconstruct. Can we just have fun
Can
now?
we not deconstruct?
Yeah.
Can we have a happy moment?
Yeah. Can we go back to having fun? Yeah, I mean, we will definitely get into this more in the future. But I just wanted to include that comment because there are people who look at Madoka, like Magical Girl fans. People who love the genre and know the genre and are very dedicated to it, who feel that, the show is kind of, I don't want to put words in this person's mouth, but I'm just referring to things I've heard in the past. That's kind of a little bit disrespectful. It's a little bit exploitative. It's this guy taking a genre meant for little girls and he's turning it into an excuse for men to buy figures of mommy in a swimsuit. You know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. But I have always maintained I'm sympathetic to that because I love magical girl shows, so I kind of understand where they're coming from. But I've always maintained, and this is what I told you guys when we started this podcast. I've always maintained that the original Madoka Magica anime is still really good.
Yes.
And still stands on its own as part of the genre. I don't think that the original anime should be included under that umbrella of potentially like exploiting the genre. You know what I mean?
I feel like with Madoka, I'm getting very similar an experience to like the Evangelion.
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
And I know, like, because I feel this way about Evangelion too. If you just watch the series on its own without looking up any of the art around it or any of the figures or anything, the show itself is not nearly as bad as the culture that has sprung up around it. Even like the fan service, when it's there, it is kind of genuinely tongue-in-cheek, but it doesn't usually get to where I'm like,
I don't know, with Madoka, you gotta...
But I mean, like, in the sense of, I don't think that what people think of as Madoka now is accurately reflected in the text on its own.
Yeah, no.
Even with that stuff. Because it does that, but then it gets rid of it, and it becomes quite sincere.
Yeah, exactly.
We still haven't seen Rebellion.
We haven't, but I mean, that's what I mean. Like, if it, like, Evangelion on its own is the same as Madoka on its own, and then you've got movies and all this other stuff that, like, went and took the things that the shows both deconstruct or at least criticize a little, and went with it.
Yeah.
Because Madoka, when it did have those scenes, they were kind of like, yikes. Those were critical of that behavior, even when they were delivering it.
Yeah, exactly.
You weren't supposed to feel good about it, exactly.
Yeah.
And Evangelion did the same thing, where it's like, ew, you guys are perverts, is this really what you're here for? And then they were like, oh, yeah, it is what you're here for.
Well, alright.
Mommy in a bathing suit. Here, have sexy, mommy, booby, bathing suit party moment.
Yeah. Hey, man, you gotta get paid. The animators need to get paid.
They needed money, and I guess at that point, who do you get mad at?
Yeah. All right, so we had one more YouTube comment. This is from NatPackDT again. Mm-hmm. This is from the last Q&A we did. He says, I was laughing my ass off through that whole wraiths are the remnants of magical boys sequence. As you kept one-upping one another, my brain started to justify the whole thing. It made me realize that it isn't really that far-fetched. We know that Kyubey chose girls over boys because they were more emotionally unstable or something like that. It's kind of a bullshit explanation because just pick a boy who grows up in a single mother household and you will find probably plenty of emotional instability, which is what I said back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with Madoka putting a lid on the energy output of girls by removing the most optimal way of exploiting them for energy, wouldn't that make boys more attractive as a choice for harvesting since their souls could still go supernova and collapse into a black hole of despair? Food for thought and definitely an interesting idea for a sequel. I agree. Somebody make that anime, please.
Yeah, I want to see this anime now.
Yeah, I want to watch it. I really do.
I want to see the literal evil gender define the anime.
Someday we're gonna have to do that episode on Madoka, and
we should.
We need to put together a whole pitch for this show too.
Yeah,
we need to put together a whole pitch and get this over to Gen and friends.
Yeah. I mean, we've had friends who speak Japanese. They can translate for you.
We've made a new Madoka show. Animated.
But I don't know, just the whole idea of gender as being something that this splits on is just it's got so many weird and unfortunate implications.
It does.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna guess it can't work that way because the end sequence where Homer is telling Kyubey about this, like, previous history, Kyubey seemed to have no idea that option was even available to him, so I'm guessing that for whatever reason this capacity for boys didn't get discovered.
Yeah, and that goes back to us not really understanding how the Wraith situation actually works.
Exactly. Because, absolutely, if Kyubey had the option of creating magical boys that turned into warlocks or wraiths or whatever, then he would absolutely have been doing that.
Maybe they would still turn into witches, so Madoka's wish technically still works, because she said, I want to prevent witches from, before they, I forget the wording of her wish, but she said, the word she used was witches. She didn't say, like, I want to save girls, or I want to save magic girls. So, if we just call whatever they turn into witches, then maybe that's why it won't work.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so that is the end of our YouTube comments, just the ones that I thought would be interesting to bring up. Mm-hmm. Did you guys get any interesting feedback in the empty Discord server, or from friends, or
oh my god, I had to mute all of that because they were so into the spoilers that I just
I know. There's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot, but it is literally like walls of black right now, and I'm like,
and I haven't gone back to pick through all of it. I do remember us being
I can't wait to have watched Rebellion so I can stop with this crap.
Yeah, I know, right? But I do remember being asked at one point what our wish would be, and we basically agreed that we would want to live forever. Both of us.
Yeah. We're not very.
Yeah.
And then I peaked once this was all over and done with. I went back and peeked at that one, and everybody under spoilers was giggling about how cute it was going to be when we were going to turn into a double witch and stay together forever.
You're acting like that isn't exactly what's happened anyway. You're actually talking to two witches.
Yes.
I would probably also wish for eternal life, if I'm being honest.
No, it has...
Hang out on Earth for a few
You
millennia.
have all the asterisks to that.
Yeah,
you have to be
true.
very clear about what immortality entails, but...
I think I was pretty explicit in saying until a time of my choosing.
No, you have to make sure there's no clause about aging, normally.
Yeah, but that's standard.
Yeah.
That comes with all my immortality questions.
Well, it's not just that. You also need to rewind yourself back to when you were like 20 or 21 or so. So that you're nice and healthy.
Exactly, yeah.
Nice and young and healthy.
The funny thing about that is, when you say, "Oh, I want to live forever," that is basically suggesting that, as far as you're concerned, you're the best person to lead the world.
Well, yeah.
Well,
because
I am.
That's what you're asking for immortality for. Because nobody's going to take immortality and then just like sit around,
do nothing with it.
At that point, you're going to be like, well, I'm immortal, therefore I have the time and means to influence the course of history. So, I mean, you're basically like, I'm God. That's...
I might sit around.
I think I would take quite some time to
I would get frustrated probably pretty quickly and be like, can I go to space now?
Well,
Ooh, space, yeah.
And then I would have to start the space program and become an eccentric billionaire.
Ooh.
I guess it'd have to be a trillionaire, to be honest, at this point.
Probably. Either that or you would have to engineer another war where space
well,
become an
you know, one does not need to engineer wars in the year 2019.
Nope. We got a whole government doing that for us.
We don't have to do that.
That's great.
At all.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, no.
Just in case anyone wants to know, my puppy has flipped over onto her back, and she's wiggling her feet at me, which means that she wants me to touch her tummy.
Oh, that's what she wishes for.
Yeah.
That's your puppy would be the cutest witch.
Now she's trying to bite her tail, and she can't quite reach it because her proportions are so weird.
I'm just picturing Walpurgisnacht trying to bite her own tail.
Yeah, how threatening is Walpurgisnacht if she's like belly up and wiggling her toes at you? I'm sure somebody has drawn like uwu versions of all the witches.
More adorable Walpurgisnacht.
Send us your Walpurgisnacht fan art. We will feature it.
I still don't have my Akio/Walpurgisnacht art.
Oh!
Sad.
Even though someone did draw the happy birthday.
What?
Akio.
Did they?
Yeah, somebody drew Akio in the hat that I photoshopped. Anyway.
For Akio's birthday, she made a desktop, because we were streaming the musical, right?
Right.
She made a desktop, and she photoshopped a happy birthday cake hat onto Akio for the desktop.
And somebody drew it.
Yeah.
I have that magical power. So I'm surprised I have not gotten my Akio and Walpurgisnacht porn.
Mm-hmm.
Porn. Or
Did you ask
I'm going to guess it's porn.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of gears there.
Well, that should be his comfort zone, shouldn't it?
I guess. I mean,
he'll figure out how to stick his dick in that somewhere.
Also, she's got a mouth. He can figure something out.
Lined with teeth, but he'll be fine.
Wow.
All right, well, I guess that will bring us to a close on our second Q&A episode. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Mm-hmm.
Where you can follow the show on Twitter at Madoka Magicast, also on Tumblr at Madoka Magicast. You can follow me on Twitter at Lambda Power, like Lambda like the Greek letter, and then Power, and also on Tumblr at Sailor Shitpost.
And you can find us, should you wish to. You can find us at ohtori.nu and on Twitter ohtori_nu.
Alright, I guess that's gonna be it. Luna is ready to just lay. She seriously does. She's just laying on her back, gazing up at me, trying to very gently chew on my thumb. Oh, she's being so cute. I love her so much. I love my puppy so much.
Children.
Oh no, go cuddle them.
No, I'm mad at them. That's why they abandoned me. They were trying to chew on the headphone cord.
Just take your lip gloss out and put it somewhere they can see it, and then they'll come back.
Yeah,
it's true.
But if they come back, they'll start chewing on the headphone cords again, and it'll just make me mad all over again.
Aww.
How come our animals are chewing on everything?
Because they're cats. That's why.
I thought dogs do that.
No.
Oh, Luna chews on everything.
Okay.
She chews on everything, including myself. She's still chewing on my fingers right now as I'm saying this.
Okay,
Excellent.
that's fair.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
The law of balance is preserved.
All right, so we will see you all in the stream, and we'll see you all at the next episode.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. Bye.
Bye.